Welcome back, everybody. This week in America, great to have you with us. The beautifully illustrated and charming children's book, Tiddlywinks, The Little Horse with Three Ears, offers lessons that looks can be deceiving, and we should not make fun or be mean to someone who is deformed or handicapped in some way. From Rex Valentine, award-winning poet, author, music composer, water dowser. Rex was raised on a primitive dairy and beef farm in Washington State. No electricity, milk cows by hand, field work done by horses. His mother taught him how to read and write by his 4th birthday when he wrote his first poem. He wrote more poems and studied poetry in school, taking time off from writing to help raise 11 children. Beginning again in his 60s, Rex attended numerous international conferences, entered contests, inducted into the World Congress of Poets in 2004, 6 international winning poems, many second, third, and fourth place recognitions. Currently residing with his wife and their farm in Elma, Washington, Rex Valentine, author of Tiddlywinks, The Little Horse with Three Ears, our guest on This Week in America. Hi, Rex. Welcome to the program. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you. It's nice to be with you.
This is such an important little book that's really got a lot of information in there. It's so well written. Talk about the idea for Tiddlywinks. Where did this idea with Tiddlywinks come from?
Well, I noticed through my lifetime as a young man that there were a lot of people who had different things wrong with them or different from everybody else around. And if people made fun of them, that was just hurting them that much more. And so I decided to to actually make up this story about the little horse with 3 ears. And my oldest children, I raised them on that story. I never wrote it down. The grandkids came along, and I never wrote the story down there either. But then I was talking to a publisher. I was telling him about the story. He says, write it down. So I quickly wrote it down, and it was just like it is in the book. And he took it, and he said, this is just perfect. He said, and it was a way to make that story last to the generations of the family, and also now a lot of other people.
Yeah, it will go on for future generations. It's a charming book with a very important message that's in the course of the book. And from what I understand, a lot of your stories, what started off as narrative stories they were telling your kids and then your grandkids, that have evolved over the course of time into books. Is that the source of a lot of your material for books, the stories you used to tell and charm your children with?
That's true. We've published 6 different books now, and they're some of them poetry, and some of them, like this book, is just not poetry, but it reads in a sense like poetry.
Yes, it has a nice rhythm to it. The book we're talking about is Tiddlywinks, The Little Horse with Three Ears by Rex B. Valentine, our guest on the program. His website is rexbvalentine.com. The book's available, of course, at Amazon, the usual places. You can link on directly to Rex's website by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Talk about a little bit working with an illustrator and making the book come to life, not only with the words, but the pictures. And this was Casey Scarborough you worked with on Tiddlywinks. Talk about that, the relationship you have with the illustrator and guiding him to make your words actually come to life in picture form.
Yes, we were on a trip down in Texas, and my wife and I, and we had actually we had the book in my mind, but I hadn't written it down yet. And he's the one really the one that published the book, which is Casey Scarborough was the illustrator that I wanted to get for, because this publisher said he's the very best. And I waited 7 months for him, which was a long time, but it was worth every bit of it. And when he started drawing, he hadn't been drawing animals much, and especially not horses. But by the time we got through with him, he did pretty well.
He made the book come to life. Yes, he did. The book is Tiddlywinks, The Little Horse with Three Ears by Rex B. Valentine, our guest on This Week in America. I mentioned in the beginning the impact your mother had. Let's go back and talk about that. The whole beginning where you grew up on what was you describe as a primitive dairy and beef farm. Talk about the impact your mother had. I mean, 4 years old, you're learning to read and write poetry. What was it about poetry that captured your attention at that early age?
Well, I got to hear all the stories and the special poetry things that they were teaching children at that particular time. The Child's Garden of Verses, and some of the real nice stories about people. And when she read to me, she made them come alive, and I wanted to do it. And so I told her I really wanted to write poetry. And she said, well, just go ahead and write, and I'll tell you how to spell the words. And so that's how I got started. And we found some of the poems that I had written in my handwriting at 4 years of age.
That's just amazing. Mother encouraging you with such a gift that she certainly had and passed along to you. I mentioned you took the time off there in raising all of the children, and then got back in your 60s in writing. What was it like when you got back? Because when you came back, you suddenly you're winning awards. You're very prolific. The books are doing exceptionally well. How much fun was that? Was that like riding a bicycle, getting back on in your 60s, and all of a sudden you're back writing these beautiful books again?
It was very thrilling to me to be able to put my ideas and thoughts down that other people liked. That was so important to me, and I wanted to leave something for my children, my family, and so I entered these contests, these international contests, for several years, and I never won any of them. So I started taking classes in poetry, and then I started winning. I've been winning now for 15 years, I guess, or more.
Just yeah, all the international recognition and the first place awards and the seconds and thirds and the others that you've won. It's been quite impressive. One review said, "I find yours so easy to read and listen to. I prefer the rhyme, but also enjoy the pictures you create with your words." I would think for a poet that pretty well checks a lot of the boxes, doesn't it? That has to be sort of the ultimate compliment you get when someone enjoys what you've written.
Yeah, it's just like I just got a lady stop by this morning. She bought the Little Horse of 3 Years book about 3 days ago, and she said her little girl of 5 uh, just loved the book, and that was the first book that she'd ever read her that she was really thrilled and could feel the feelings of love and care in the book. And the child almost cried.
And it's such a gift to be able to do that and to touch the young readers in the way you do. The book Tiddlywinks, The Little Horse with 3 Ears by Rex B. Valentine, our guest on the program. Book's available at his website, rexbvalentine.com. Of course, Amazon, the usual places. If you go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, you can link on directly with Rex's website. It's been said that you have a gift for seemingly effortless rhyme. Is it that way for you? Is this something that really comes natural, or are there times when, boy, I'm really struggling here to make this work?
It just seems to come natural, and I've written quite a lot of music too, and music for choirs and also solo work. And I published one music book that have all the words and music to several. I think there's 17 songs in there. And the poetry was easy. I started kind of doing the music work, and then the poetry just really came easy for me. It's just not hard at all. And all I have is a high school education formally, but I've studied enough years that I might even be on that a little bit now.
You certainly should be. A couple of doctorate degrees in music composing and poetry writing as well. Rex Valentine, our guest on the program. So many books. We're talking about Tiddlywinks, The Little Horse with 3 Ears, a beautifully illustrated book, a charming book. It's available at Rex's website and, again, wherever books are sold. Let's talk about the poet and the way you see the world. I'm always amazed when I read work of talented authors and poets like you. You see things differently, don't you? You may look at something and see something totally different. I look at it sort of a superficial way, probably. You have a gift to look at it a little bit differently, sort of an enchantment with the world around you, I would think.
Well, I found that I'm also a professional water dowser, and I locate wells for people. I've done that for many years, and over 4,000 wells I've worked on. And when I do that, I allow myself to be connected to the earth, and to the period, the people around me, and what I'm trying to do, and I allow myself to be led by the inspiration that is good, and I don't let myself be influenced by black type things that are not proper
Right.
for kids or adults.
We're talking with Rex Valentine, who is a poet, author, music composer, water dowser, as we were just talking about. The book Poetry to Ponder, I want to talk about that just for a second. That was created from 1997 to 2011. And this really takes us sort of into the various forms of poetry. We tend to think of poetry, us outsiders, as poetry is very simple. There really are a number of poetic forms, and you're very well versed in all of those.
Well, pretty well. I've been studying them for quite a few years now, and writing. Most of my poems, I shouldn't say most, but many of them are narrative poetry. They tell a story, and I like to tell stories with my poetry. But then there also we have the villanelles, and they're 19 lines of poetry, and they all have to be written a certain way. Then, of course, the free verse is the easiest, because you don't have to worry about the rhyme.
Yes.
It's a different thing. I like the Sinku. That's a 4-line Chinese poem. I've written quite a few of those, and those are real fun. Haikus, I've done some of those too, but I don't like those as well as the Sinkus.
What are you working on now? And we'll talk about some of the books and the music that you've written over the years. Are you working on projects now?
Oh, yes. I was writing poetry this morning while I was waiting to come on.
Well, that's good. Not time wasted waiting on us. It was time that you were spent creatively. What type of poetry were you working on this morning?
Well, it was about children speaking. Children speaking out of place, you might say.
Oh, yes. Rex Valentine, our guest on the program. His website is rexbvalentine.com. Book specifically, Tiddlywinks, The Little Horse with Three Ears. So many books you'll find at the website, talking about the poetry that he's been working on now. Your work covers like a wide range of topics, doesn't it? It not only is able to entertain and amuse, but there are messages in your poems as well.
Most all of my poems do have messages, and I try to keep those messages interesting to people, somewhat interested at least. Now, I just finished a poem here, Cowboys Without Horses, and that was one I just finished here. I'll be putting in my next book. The reason I'm a cowboy without horses, we had cows, but we didn't have riding horses. And our range was so rough we couldn't ride horses out on it.
Okay, I'm looking forward to having a chance to read that. The time has gone by so quickly. A few minutes left in the program. I mentioned, I think my count is correct, 11 children, 40 grandchildren, 24 great-grandchildren. What's that been like for all of the kids? Many of the older ones now grew up listening to these stories, and suddenly they're seeing their stories, Tiddlywinks and stories like that, in book form, and other people enjoying it. What's this been like for you and the family, this experience, this success that you've had as a poet?
It's been very gratifying, because the things that we do in life, we hope that there'll be good things and that people will enjoy them. because we're only here for a short time, and that's one thing we can leave when we're writers. We can leave our thoughts and our love and our inspirations with other people.
There's so many messages in the book, along with the entertainment factor. Specifically, so impressed with Tiddlywinks, the little horse with 3 ears. Rexby Valentine has been our guest on the program. His website, very simple, rexbyvalentine.com. You can link on directly and get information not only on Tiddlywinks, but all of his books and music compositions by going to his website. Link on directly by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Rex, so impressed with your work. Thank you so much for sharing it with us on the program. It sounds like you're still in the process of writing. Sounds like a new book is on the horizon. Hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about that. Thank you for being with us on the program.
Well, thank you very much, too.
There's the publisher calling now. He wants to see how you're coming on the the poetry so we can get the next book published. So hopefully that will be very soon. Thanks, Rex, for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome. Tiddlywinks, the little horse with 3 ears. Rex B. Valentine, the author and our guest on the program. That's his website, rexbvalentine.com. And, of course, you can link on directly by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. We're back after these messages.